This episode is sponsored by Nobodyville. To build anything great, it takes a village. Check out Nobodyville at nbdyvlle.com.
Welcome.
I love it.
Always want to do a welcome.
Here we go.
What up, brother?
Sister Cee.
Brother.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right.
You see my spirits are much higher. It feels good. I'm so glad to see you for another episode.
Yeah, you're looking bright, looking ready to go.
You the same, brother. Let's go. Let's do it.
All right.
What we talking
Topic
about today?
of the week.
What we talking about today?
This is one might be a little touchy subject.
Oh, man.
I hope you're ready for this. I hope you strapped in for this. Your seatbelt on? You strapped in?
Let's go. What are we talking about?
We are talking about does sparing the rod spoil the child?
Wow.
Do you even need a rod for parenting? Controversial subject now, right?
I'm a loss for words.
Yeah, so spankings, whoopings, switches for some of us kids who grew up with the tree with the switches in front of grandma's house.
Yes.
I
have went to go pick up my own switch.
Yeah, me too. I was there. I lived it.
I've done it.
What used to be standard in parenting, a mainstay, things are a lot different now these days. Not only can you get in trouble for spanking your child, they will lock you up in certain states.
Yes, they will.
I am a parent. You have step parent. I think it's a topic that hit homes with most. And also, I think we had a similar upbringing in where I got spanked. Yeah. I got whoopings.
I did.
It was like, I thought it was the norm. I thought it was normal growing up.
Absolutely. No, I never felt like it was normal.
You never? Okay.
No.
All right, that's honest. I like that.
I didn't agree with spankings.
Okay. And then,
I didn't want the spanking.
Okay.
Mom.
What about the whoopings? Is it the same thing?
Neither. I didn't want the spanking or the whooping.
Okay.
Even though I may have deserved it.
Okay.
I still didn't want it.
I like it. I didn't know kids weren't getting spanked until you get the friend when you're older and you're like, oh no, I've never been spanked.
My gosh.
I got TOs. I got timed out.
One of my good friends has never been spanked or whooped. Like, your mama didn't spank you? Like, my mama didn't hit me.
Yeah.
What you mean?
Exactly.
Your mama didn't. You didn't get what? Oh, that makes sense. That's why you are the way you are. That's my immediate response. Oh, that's why you way you are.
Gotcha. Okay.
Spoiled brat.
So let's start. Let me see. Where should we start? Let's start off with this. Your childhood. Mm-hmm. Now looking back on that as an adult, hindsight being 2020, do you feel like there was something that you learned from being spanked or whooped, or something that you felt was valuable about that experience?
To be honest, looking back, no.
Okay.
I think spankings are temporary.
Ooh.
I think it's a temporary lesson for that moment. I was in so many situations where I got whooped a lot. I did. For things that I done and things that I didn't do. I've definitely got some whoopings that weren't warranted. I don't feel like I deserved them. But there were some whoopings that I felt like I did deserve, but I deserved them at that moment. Because I put it like this. If I felt like that whooping would have made me a better person, then I probably wouldn't have did that same action again. Okay. Like, I was a repeat offender as a kid. Like, I was a really good kid, though.
Sound like you was a bad kid.
No, I was a really good kid, but I was that type of kid that was like, I would just test the waters. Okay. I was a water tester. Like, my mom would probably tell me not to do something, or I probably shouldn't have done that. And I'd be like,
Really?
I am going to try it anyway.
Gotcha.
And I did. And I got my butt whooped for it.
And then you would do it again after the whooping?
I did it again.
Wow.
Because I figured, in my mind, I thought that I could get away with it the next time. I figured that I was so smarter than my mom that I could manipulate the situation and I could get away with it the second time. And she wouldn't know.
Gotcha.
So that was kind of why I thought I could do it again. Because the second time around, I thought I could get away with it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so I wasn't a bad kid. I don't feel by any means. But I think like most kids, you're going to end up testing the waters. Some respect. It's natural. You have this curiosity. You have you're inquisitive about a lot of things. A lot of things are brand new. And then you don't know that, like, I'm not supposed to be doing that until you get redirected by an adult.
True.
Right?
True.
Our parents didn't know what they didn't know.
Okay.
We live in a different time now where like we have access to so much more information.
True.
And now you read things, or there's researchers or therapists and doctors that say that there's nothing good that comes from spanking a child. When I try to look back and think about my childhood, I don't know if spanking really taught me anything, but it did establish some boundaries.
Yes, I can agree to that.
Could those boundaries be established with conversation?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know because I got whoopings.
Me too.
So I cannot say that, hey, if you talk to your kid, try to get some understanding where they're coming from. And then maybe you could create those type of boundaries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't say because I got whoopings. And that's how I learned my boundaries. But looking at people who raise children over the years, you could kind of be like, I know you've looked at some kids, you'd be like, oh, they look like they need a good whooping.
Yeah.
One good whooping that'll probably set them straight, right?
Yeah.
But then that mom or that dad might give them that one good whooping and it still don't work.
Right.
Right? So did they really need that whooping? And then I've seen some parents where they go the other route and say, you know what, I'm going to talk to my kid.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to my kid and try to meet my kid on some type of neutral ground to make my kid understand exactly where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And hopefully that works.
I think kids understand a lot more than we give them credit for. That's been my experience raising my daughter. You know, she's only 8 right now, but
your baby's 8?
She's 8.
Dang.
Going up fast.
Wow.
I have conversations with her, and I used to think she wasn't ready for certain levels of conversations, but I find that when I do have conversations with her, like real conversations, like kids know a lot more than we tend to give them credit for.
Absolutely.
I myself, I'm not a parent that spanks or hits. I don't think it's necessary because she's not a bad child. I don't know if any kid is really a bad child. I don't know how you throw that label on somebody, especially if I'm not their parent, you know? I've seen some wild kids though.
Yeah.
We all know some wild ass kids.
Yeah.
Because you see them running around in grocery stores. You see them yelling back at moms, snatching away from moms.
Yeah. Disrespectful to moms.
All of it. Calling the names.
Yes.
Right? And we see that, and our natural inclination is that kid needs to be that kid needs a whooping.
I
right?
saw a situation just yesterday where the son yelled back at his dad.
Right.
Was like, "What?" And I was like, start looking around the gym like, did anybody else hear that young man yell at his dad like that? Like,
because that was a no for us growing up.
Yeah, like, whoa, so that he sound like that's a snatch up, quick. Yeah.
I got a story where I remember I tried to shut up with my mom's Sista Cee. Oh my God,
wait a minute, you told your mom to shut up?
I told my mom to shut up, and my life changed forever in that moment. So here's the thing that I get mad at. I don't know who designed the grocery stores. Okay. I don't know who thought it was a great idea to put that candy aisle right there at the checkout.
Yeah.
When you know kids got to walk through there.
Yeah, that's why they put it there.
And any kid is going to be like, you know what I mean? Oh, Mom, look, I want this, I want that.
Yeah.
I remember.
It's for the kids.
I went to grab a Snickers one day. Snickers was everything to me as a kid. The nuggets, the nuts, the whatever's in there.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't let me have it. And for whatever reason, I threw a fit. And then I don't know what got into me.
And you remember that? How old were you?
I was young. I can't even pinpoint the age. But I just remember I said, "Shut up," and I didn't even think "up" got all the way out. I think I got to like before I get that whole side of my face. Yeah. Right? Think about the times though, right? Like I could look back on that and laugh. Though I was being out of pocket. But it happened in front of people at this grocery store. Nobody blinked an eye. You can't get away with that today.
Oh no.
Right?
No, you hit your kid in the grocery store right now, guaranteed. There is going to be a Karen, a Paula, a Pauline,
right.
A Susie, a Suzanne, Janiqua, Keisha. They're going to follow you out to your car and get your license plate number. They're going to report you. It doesn't matter who you are, what race you are. Yeah. They're going to report you.
So
no disrespect to the names I just dropped.
So that's one of those moments where I think about in my head, like, could my mom at that time had just pulled me aside and had a conversation with me and me understand that, like, I can't yell shut up at her.
would your kid have understand what? Well, not say your kid. Would you have understanded that conversation at that moment?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But let me tell you, I never said shut up again. I knew I wasn't doing that anymore.
Because you knew that smack was warranted.
Yeah. And I didn't, by any means, I didn't get abused or anything by my parents, right? I did get whoopings, but like that was like a rare occasion where like it was like she fired off on me because I was just wilding. But when I look back on my childhood or think back on my childhood, like I think about a lot of like life lessons that I got from like my dad, my mom, and a lot of the real valuable ones came through conversation. I can't think of anything that like I really learned through like spankings or whoopings. Is there something you feel like you learned through that, like through that experience?
No.
Well,
no.
Yeah.
Not really. I can't say that I've learned anything. I learned how to talk to people, how to respect my elders, or learn when to talk and not talk out of my turn.
Yeah.
You know, because it's certain things, if you talk out of turn as a child, you get put in your place really quick.
Yeah.
So I learned when not to talk out of my turn, but realize kids these days, they talk out of turn all the time. You have to constantly remind them like, hey, this is a grown folks conversation.
Yeah.
Or you have to say, hey, you have to say excuse me before you start speaking.
Right.
Kids don't really know that. But at the same time, I may have got kicked in the ass for excuse my language, I may have got kicked in the butt for butting in the conversation or being around. But on the flip side of it, you can't talk to your kid and say, hey, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But it goes so many ways because you could talk to your kid,
right,
and they'll get it, but they'll do it again, and then they'll do it again. But if you
got
that one little
right, but the whoopings did that too. To your point, like you still was like a repeat offender.
I wasn't a repeat offender on certain things.
Oh, okay.
Like boo bop, how you got in the grocery store.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have touched the candy again.
Gotcha.
I would have never went for the. I'm not going for the candy.
It was a shut up. I don't think it was reaching for the candy. I think it was a shut up. But yeah.
Oh.
All right, how about this? Okay, so that you can't get away with now anymore. And I went to private school when I was younger.
All years?
Like most of my elementary. And back then, the principal was also allowed to whoop us or give us swats. They called us swats, right? Miss Eastman, our principal, I get in trouble. We get in there, line us all up, bend over. She had her ruler. It's like a yardstick maybe. Yak 'em, yak 'em, yak 'em.
Bow.
So fast forward to 2023.
Yeah.
If that video surfaced,
everybody losing their job and they going to jail.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Because the laws have changed. I mean, that just comes with time. Laws have changed.
Do you think it sounds crazy though when you say it now?
Well,
should you be sending your kid to school and like a principal be allowed to hit them with a ruler?
That sounds crazy. Just repeating it right now. Right. That sounds absolutely nuts. Could you imagine your kid right now, your daughter, Dad, Miss Roseanne hit me with a swat. You leaving your job.
I'm wilding.
It don't even matter where you are at that moment.
I'm infuriated.
Hey, check this out. I gotta go.
Right.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Somebody over there hitting my baby. What the world? But what made that okay those years ago? What made that okay?
I don't know. But there's a lot of people that would argue that like we need to go back to that.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Because
I've heard that. But do you think that that's rooted in slavery?
So I've heard that theory too, right? But then, I don't know. But I could see how that type of behavior and those type of actions could like, the closer you were to that time period, I could see how that would trickle down into people's lives, right? But it wasn't just black people doing whoopings, right? Like if there's other races doing it too, especially the closer you get to the Bible Belt, the Midwest. People that are really rooted into the church, the whole spread the rod thing is like a big deal for them, right? So they definitely feel like I'm living a biblical lifestyle by me disciplining and using the rod to, rear my children.
Yeah.
So I don't know anymore though. So that's where we're at now in present time is like, why is it still taboo?
We cannot go back.
We can't go back to that. But should it still be allowed in today's time? No,
it's no way.
No?
No. We're at a different time. Like we all live in different generations of time. Like we're millennials now.
Yeah.
And the Gen Zers are definitely not going for it.
I can see that.
They're not doing it. Now, come Gen A again,
Yeah.
it might be reintroduced again. But I don't think in our time that we're here as millennials or Gen X's to millennials to Z's now, I don't think that will happen again. I don't think it will happen again. Happen.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
So you've been a step parent. You've been a step parent.
Mm-hmm.
Were you giving whoopings?
Absolutely not. That wasn't my place to.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were the other alternative forms of discipline you could use that you felt were effective?
Talking.
You did have that.
But you know what?
Yeah.
And talking is so strong with me because my mom was the hitter.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
my dad was the talker.
Okay.
My dad never laid his hands on me. Not one time. He would never hit me. But my mom, she was the disciplinary all the time. But you got to realize my mama is the one who took care of me 24/7.
Can you still be a disciplinarian and be a talker?
Yes.
Yeah.
But kids will play you.
Okay.
I think kids are master manipulators.
Ooh.
I think because I was one. I learned how to manipulate my mom, and I learned how to manipulate my dad. And that's why I said earlier to state I got smarter to try to figure out how I can beat you, meaning my mom. Okay, I got busted the first time. You figured out what I did. But the second time around, I'm going to outsmart you.
Okay.
Well, I thought I was going to outsmart you.
Right.
And then here we go. I didn't smart her out. And then the third time around, I got busted again. And then it finally took from my dad to talk to me, having that conversation. He said, Pump, he said, you know we were all kids once before, right? I said, yeah. He said, everything that you're doing, everything that you think you're doing, even the outsmarting us, we done it already.
Ooh.
We've done all those things that you're trying to do already. You think you being smarter than us, but we've done it already. And I think that was probably the first time in my life I started to realize, like, damn.
So looking back on your child, how much did you appreciate those conversations? Did you feel like you learned a lot through that?
I felt like I learned a lot from my pops for sure. Like, you know, him talking to me really helped me a lot. It helped balance me.
Okay.
Because if it was just my mom kicking my ass 24/7, kicking my butt 24/7, I'd probably be worse off. Right? And I think it was my dad that balanced me to the T.
So it's interesting that you say that because there's some theories out there that like spanking, whoopings, or hitting children, it teaches them now to like use that as a method to handle their issues. This kid is hitting, and we've seen that. You be on the playground, you're at somebody's house, kids are arguing, all of a sudden one's hitting the other one. It's like, well, is that a learned behavior, or is that natural? So it's like, do you think when you say you maybe would have been worse, do you think the kids that are maybe not, it could be like kind of getting into child abuse though. Do you think the kids that are getting spankings, they become more violent people as they get older? Or is it the kids that are abused tend to abuse?
I think you can.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Because if I look back on my childhood, my mama kicked my butt.
Yeah.
Like, I got my butt kicked.
Gotcha.
And you would honestly think that I was a lot more angrier than I am.
Really?
Like, I know how to repress my anger.
Okay.
Like, for the most part, if you kind of take me there, I'm more of a temper tantrum type of person. Like,
Okay.
I snap and it just come in a quick rage, at that moment. But not to the point where I'm being abusive, unless you abuse me. Like, if you kind of come for me like real tough, you come for me.
Yeah.
I am coming for you.
Okay.
But if you kind of trying to show me that you trying to fight, even fighting,
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna give you a couple chances to back out. Like, you really don't want this.
Were you comfortable with fighting as a kid then?
No.
You weren't?
No.
But did you
not
feel
at all.
like that's something that was normal?
Fighting?
Yeah. Because like you were hit by your mom, did you see hitting as like, oh, I could use this as something?
No.
No, okay.
No. I didn't take abuse as an excuse for me to abuse other people.
Got you.
Yeah.
Or just you didn't normalize it at all.
I didn't normalize it
Got
at
you.
all.
You saw that.
I still
like,
didn't
this
think
ain't
it
cool.
was like, that's still not cool. It's not
Yeah.
okay. Oh, I'm abusing you because I got abused.
Yeah.
No, I never thought that was okay.
Oh, okay.
I still don't.
Gotcha.
I don't agree with people hitting other people, abusing people. That shit is not okay.
Right. No, for sure.
You know? But back to whoopings.
Yeah.
A quick little pop, pop, pop might be necessary.
Might be
Like,
necessary.
some of these kids is wild, bro.
Some of these kids are bad. So it's tough for me because like I spent time as a substitute teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
Give us a little bit about that. Where?
Well,
not necessarily where, but
yeah.
How
I mean,
old
I
were
did
you?
all grades. This was like right after college, trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do with my life. And so I was coaching basketball. I was a substitute teacher. So I worked from like basically like kinder up to high school. I did all that. And you do see some kids that are like, I would say out of control. Like where you're trying to talk to them, there's no redirecting them. But also too, like I wasn't their parent. So I think the voice sometimes matter where it's like, maybe they're not listening to me because I'm a stranger's voice. They don't know who I am.
Yeah.
But we were always taught to respect adults.
Correct.
And I feel like maybe some of the kids aren't getting that message anymore, or
To respect adults.
yeah. I mean, you see these kids in videos that go viral where you have kids like yelling or fighting substitute teachers. And I'm just like, this is wild. And then because of how we were raised, I have that thought where I'm like, oh, that kid should have been whooped when they were younger.
Yeah.
Or like,
are they lack manners?
yeah.
I,
But maybe that's not the answer then. Maybe there. This episode is sponsored by Nobodyville. To build anything great, it takes a village. Check out Nobodyville at nbdyvlle.com. And then also too, like I've spent time working at group homes where some kids, they got beat.
yeah.
And it's like all those kids needed were love and to be built up.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like
Those are the kids that didn't deserve to get beatings.
the word deserve is a tough word.
I know I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
that was insensitive.
And that's the thing is like what is there to gain by doing that? I have an analogy. I don't know if it's a good one, but I always think like we have all these material possessions that we value.
Correct.
And that we won't tear up. People love their cars, their homes,
Yeah.
right? It's like if you won't go in and start punching holes in your wall because you value your house and you want to make sure like your house value stays high, or you don't go and like kick on your car or break windows when it's like the car is like giving you problems, and it's like, well, I would never do that because I value my car. I want this thing to be pristine or the best it could possibly be for me.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we doing that with children? How am I supposed to build this child up if I'm in some regards breaking them down when I'm like being physical with them?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You know, I refuted against that a couple of days
Yeah, I
ago.
remember you didn't like the car analogy.
I didn't like the car analogy at all, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I thought about that, and I thought about what you said, and you're right. You're absolutely right. People value so many things. They would value material things. Just to repeat what you said, and your kid is your main possession. Not to say that you possess your kids, but you do. That is your main possession in life, right? You made your kid. So to sit here and use the analogy of beating your car or busting a hole in your wall, you wouldn't do those things. So why would you do them to your
Why don't
kids?
you mess up your child, right?
But there's a flip side to that.
Okay.
Some people do beat on their walls in their house.
They do.
Some people do beat on their cars.
Yeah.
And they beat on their kids.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So I feel like beating we can agree on. When it's like crosses a certain line, it's abusive, right? There was a question that was posed on the internet, and for those people that do agree with spanking, at what age is it okay to spank a child? How about let's hear about that from some of the listeners. If you are one of these people that advocate for spankings and you don't spare the rod, at what age does that start? And then at what age does it stop? Right?
Yeah. I can remember, my first spanking, I probably was maybe, first of all, I went to private school too.
Did you? Okay.
I did. So in kindergarten, they were paddling.
Okay.
But somewhere in there, I never got paddled.
Okay.
I do remember some kids getting
So you
called up.
were a good kid.
I was. I was smart enough to know not to get paddled. I probably had a conversation with my mom or my dad probably telling me why. You know what? I think that's why my dad or my mom took me out of private school at some point.
Really?
Because
Okay.
that's what they were doing.
Gotcha.
And I want to say my dad didn't agree with it.
Okay.
But I was smart enough to know that I wasn't getting paddled.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
But I think I probably was like maybe second grade when I first started getting whoopings. Second grade. So that's why. How old are you in first, second grade? Maybe like 6, 7.
Yeah,
somewhere in that area.
Do you remember when it stopped? Do you remember your last whooping?
I do.
You do? Okay.
My last whooping probably technically was 21. Straight up. I was 20 on my 21st birthday. My mom tried it.
That's not really a whooping. That's
but
like a
fight.
But
it was though. Yeah. But in her eyes, it was a whooping because you never grow up to your parents.
Interesting.
Your parents always look at you as your child.
Yeah, for sure.
Always. They never look at you as an adult. Maybe once you gray and old looking in the face, they probably at some point, but they at that age, 21, my mom probably felt like that I was still a child in her eyes.
Ooh.
You know, and she came for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's when things changed seriously.
Yeah.
Because that's when it was like, okay, you tripping.
Yeah.
And it's no way that you think I'm going to let you hit me, and I am not going to show you that I can stand up for myself.
Oh, wow.
Period.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, all love to moms. I love you, moms. But, yeah, she tried me on my 21st birthday, and I kind of had to, like, show her that this is it.
Sorry to hear that.
This is it.
Yeah.
That's the last hitting that you're ever going to try to pose on me, and it was.
Gotcha.
That's crazy.
I can't remember how old I was when the whooping stops. I want to say like I figured out early, like so maybe around like 10 to 12 ish. It was like, okay, certain things are gonna get me in trouble. I don't like getting in trouble. I don't like this. So I'm gonna just do what's right.
Let me clean up my act.
Yeah. And I had a sister, so I saw her get in trouble a lot, and I was just like, nah, that ain't it for me. I'm gonna go ahead and live this righteous life and do the right things and stay in pockets so like I don't have to get whoopings. And then I remember like as a teenager, there'd be times where like I would make mistakes and my dad would like he would like give me a little one of these in the chest. Yeah, but not like hard where it's like I'm trying to hurt you. It'd be like, hey, boom, get in line. Like, oh, gotcha.
I feel you.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I want to say like, man, maybe 11, 12 was like my last like whooping. Even that to me feels like too old, you know, now.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I guess I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. I was, my mom was trying to hold me down for a long time.
But you still felt like she loved you though? You knew that was there?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No, when I was younger, I felt like my mom hated me.
Okay.
That's being straight up honest.
Gotcha.
Like I felt like my mama did not like me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I felt like she didn't like me. I thought maybe she didn't like me because she despised my father. Because that was one of the things she used to always say, like, you look like your daddy. And she hated my dad.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So I didn't really start appreciating my mom until I got older because I started to understand as an adult the things that she was going through, right? So I started to sympathize what she may have been going through, why she was treating me the way she was. Because when you look back on life, even as an adult, you look at a 6-year-old, you look at your daughter and you be like, how can somebody beat on you?
Right.
How pretty little precious little girl.
Helpless, yeah.
Why in anyone's right mind would they want to hurt you?
Yeah.
Right? So it's a lot of things that could have been constituted those thoughts. Drinking, alcohol, drugs.
So it's funny you bring that up. So when I started thinking about us having this conversation, I was thinking back on my childhood. Because I had aunts and uncles too, and everybody, whooping was just like, it was normalized in our family. And so my cousins got it, I got it. It was all normal, right? Mm-hmm. But then you start to think about as a parent, like, where do you draw the line? So that's why I ask about at what age. Mm-hmm. But then also, like, you know, you'd have like get-togethers with families and people be drinking, and then you see somebody getting a whooping, and now as an adult trying to process that, I'm like, you were altered. Like, you had a few drinks. Like, is that the time you want to try to discipline your child? Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if that's you doing that or if it's the liquor doing it, right? You have to think
and
about
as a kid, you don't even know that that's even happening.
Right.
You don't know that mommy's drunk.
Right.
Unless you have that type of relationship with your kid, like that your kid know that you drunk or something like that. I don't know many people who have that type of relationship with their kid, but as a kid, you don't know. As a kid, I didn't know. Yeah. You know, but like I said, as I got older, in hindsight, looking back, my mom used to always have a couple Christian brothers.
Gotcha.
All the time. Yeah. That was her go-to. So I think back about those moments all the time. Like, you know what? I think my mom was under the influence.
Yeah.
Severely. You know, about all the stresses she was going through. My mom was losing her place. I remember we literally lost our place and we got put out of our house. I can only imagine what she was going through at that moment. I think about the stresses that I go through in my life right now.
Right.
As a 38-year-old, right? And then to think about her during those times as a 25-year-old, 26-year-old with a daughter, raising her by yourself and get fired from your job, no help from the father. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
You stressed out to the T. You trying and nobody's helping.
Yeah. 1,000%.
And we run alcohol. I mean, alcohol is kind of in our community. Alcohol is some of our crutches. Drugs is our crutches. That's kind of our generation of where we come from.
I'm gonna give you a phrase and tell me what you think about it. I'm doing this because I love you.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I heard that before from like a grandma though.
Okay.
I don't really feel like I've heard that from my mom before. Like I'm doing this because I love you. My mom never really gave me a good reason why she was whooping me. But my grandmother, if she popped me or chased me with the cast iron pot, it's because I snuck out the house and snuck to the grocery store and stole some candy out the store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wilded.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was wilding.
So I asked you about that statement because, like, do you think a kid has the capacity to understand that?
No.
I'm doing this because I love you?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think no kid understands the spanking.
Because I didn't. Even when it was told to me, it was like, I'm doing this because I love you or because I care about you. It was like, I don't know. I don't know how this makes sense to me. Make this make sense.
Make it make sense.
Yeah.
You don't. As a kid, I don't think any kid understands a whooping. Like I said, it goes back to earlier. I was saying that, it's temporary.
Yeah.
A whooping is temporary. You understand it for the moment, right?
Should you whoop out of anger?
No, and that's really where all my whoopings came from.
Yeah, and that's
completely out of anger.
I think that kind of speaks to your temporary point. It's like, I'm upset in this moment, and you deserve this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm angry right now, as opposed to, what if I cool off for a second and then come back and like have a conversation, or even maybe the spanking. But when you do it out of anger, I felt like there's not a whole lot that's getting passed on to the child, so like where it has some value. Or there's some understanding or some message that's being received.
It's temporary.
Yeah.
I do think in a small second of it, a kid do understand it. Because at that small second, I do believe that kid may look at mommy or daddy be like, oh man, mommy or daddy really, really means this time. Like, oh my God, I've never seen my mommy or daddy this angry at me before. Like, I really messed up at this moment.
Yeah.
So I do think at that slight second, a kid may understand at that moment, like, oh, I better not do this again. It goes back to the statement you made earlier when you told your mom to shut. Yeah. And you didn't get it out.
Right.
And she came with that boom bop so fast. Yeah. You knew at that moment that was a no-go for moms.
Right.
And you never touched that again.
Yeah.
So I do believe somewhere in there, yes, that moment that kid sees it, and they don't ever want to see their mom or dad in that state again. They know not to cross that boundary again.
Can your friends openly talk about how they discipline their kids, or you think most people are not comfortable sharing that? How about this too? When two people start to like build a family together and have children, should they have a conversation about what are your thoughts on spankings?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because I've seen it where like mom is like, I'm spanking the kids, and dad's like, no, or vice versa.
Sure.
It's like, you're not putting hands on my kids.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's such a tough conversation to have, I think, because initially you don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
Until you have the kid.
Right. And then it's so like, oh,
you can have that conversation.
We got different parenting styles.
Yeah, we got completely different parenting styles. Like but like, you're not hitting my baby.
Right.
Oh, I'm tearing this little boy up.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? He just talked to you crazy. I need to discipline him. I need to show him not to disrespect his mom or whatever.
Were your aunts and uncles allowed to discipline you? I know grandma, so grandma was for me.
So you know what?
The aunts and uncles.
I have a lot of great aunts and uncles.
Oh, okay.
So my great aunts and uncles, they would snitch on me. They would tell my mom. They didn't whoop on me, but they would tell on me that I was caught. I seen Charmaine up the street.
Yeah.
walking up Avalon, and I don't know why she was walking up Avalon, but I seen her.
Interesting.
Right? So I would get told on, but I had cousins, older cousins, that was like an aunt, and I think my mom pretty much gave them the green light to have their way, but they didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, my big older cousins, they didn't. I probably say one of my older cousins' husband, he wasn't even my kin. It was her husband.
Yeah, yeah.
He hit me before one time.
Whoa.
I will never forget. But he hit me because the ball rolled down in the street, and I ran out to go get the ball.
Okay.
In the street.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think he hit me out of reaction to like, you almost just got yourself killed.
Yeah.
And I think he hit me in a reaction how he would hit his own child.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm not mad at him for doing it, but it was one of the moments like, oh my God, you just hit me.
Okay.
But it was that. I did almost get hit by the car. I did run out blindly to go chase the ball like most kids do.
Right.
But he popped me something severe, and I remember feeling it in my chest.
Oh, whoa.
And nothing happened. I think my mom, I don't know if I told my mom or she told, my cousin told my mom, I don't remember, but nothing happened behind it. I still was over there. Nothing changed. My mama didn't yell at him or nothing. Life went on.
My mom and my dad both come from big families, and they have multiple siblings. And only certain ones were allowed or had permission to like whoop me and my sister. I don't know how they decided who was allowed and who wasn't. I do remember my parents having arguments because like they didn't agree on everything. It's like, oh, my mom's sister's okay. My dad was like, no. And then my dad was like, well, my brother could do it. And my mom's like, no. Yeah. And so I thought even that now as an adult, like thinking back on that is a strange thing where it's like, oh, this aunt and uncle can whoop you, but these couples can't. So or a few can't. And it's like, all right. Like, yeah. But I just remember like there was a short list of people that could whoop us, but everybody didn't make the cut. You know what I mean? So we had the principal at the school. We had, I think, my godparents, and then like a few aunts and uncles, and then there was other ones that weren't allowed, and I knew it though. Yeah. So I knew I could test the boundaries with them. You know what I mean? Because it's like you can't
manipulating situations.
You might be right now. I look back on that. Think back on that. Yeah.
You was definitely manipulating.
Yeah, interesting.
And that's what kids are doing now. Kids know they are so smart that they know that parents can't hit you.
That part.
They know.
They do. Some of them, like, especially when you start to get to junior high and they start talking, like, oh, if your parents get out of line, you can make a phone call.
They know it. They play it to the T, and that's what's jacked up now because a lot of parents, single moms, for example, they can't really boop bop the way they might need to. Or
one of the things is when I talk about like there's so much more information that's available now. One of the very first things I did when I found out I was having a daughter, I picked up some books on parenting.
Really?
I picked up some books on like dads and the relationships with daughters and parenting. Because think about this.
Let me slow you down for a second. What books can we share with the audience? What books? Maybe
none that I can remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Maybe if you think about it later, we can drop it in.
Yeah, drop it in there. Yeah, for sure. Right. One of the things that it's interesting is like we will do research to learn certain things, right? Mm-hmm. Like you put this magnificent set together. It took some time for you to research that, understand what you needed, and maybe did some reading, watch some podcasts, right?
Thank you, by the way.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you did amazing. When it came to parenting, I thought I need to take a similar approach. I've never done this before. Here's this person that's about to be my responsibility. Absolutely. And I can make or break I can make or break this individual if I get this wrong. I was like, I need to learn as much as I possibly can. But there are a lot of people that's like, they just take the approach like they're gonna know because it's like, well, I'm living life. I've lived life. Like I got this. And I was like, not for me. And then it was interesting is like, I got some criticism from people when they saw me reading a book about parenting. Like, what are you doing with that book? Like that stuff's fluff. You don't need that. And I'm like, it's a bold statement. Yeah. But I feel like there's just information out there that people can learn from to maybe help them because there are those situations where it's like, I'm angry right now and I'm reacting out of anger, but I don't know if this is the best method. Yeah. I don't know how this is impacting my child, but there's people that, I don't know if you could be an expert when it comes to parenting because every kid's different, but there's definitely research out there that will allow you to, at least see what those options are and understand. like there's understand what methods are available to like reach kids.
Yeah. Do you think that therapy is something that might be?
I'm 100% advocate for therapy. My dad, even though it was taboo in the Black community, I remember him having going to therapy. I want to say like, I can't remember what age. I had to be like a preteen, but him and my mom were having trouble, and he took it upon himself to start seeing a therapist. And it was one of those things we didn't talk about openly. He kept it quiet. It was just in the family, right? We were told not to speak about it. But I can remember seeing a change in him. So my dad went from being this like machismo, manly man, didn't express much emotion, wasn't affectionate, to like now like he's having conversations with me about being able to express certain things that he was feeling, and also encouraging me to have conversations with him about whatever emotional things I was feeling. And then he would hug me and tell me he loved me a lot. And I thought, like, I love this version of whatever this is. I love this. You know what I mean? Like I saw how that helped. And so I feel like,
did he continue? I'm sorry. Did he continue to go to therapy after that? Like, was
he
it
did.
ongoing, or was that the moment?
I mean, it was on and off. And then even like we had family sessions together too.
With a therapist or?
With a therapist, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like, you know, me, my mom, my sister, and myself, like we all sat in there because they were trying to work through their issues, but they were also wanted to see how it was affecting us. And then I love that, like with his therapy, it also like made him a better father, because it's like they had to talk about how their issues were affecting his parenting, and so he had to like work through those things too, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm an advocate for therapy. I think it would definitely help, especially if you have like exhausted what you think are all the possibilities for you when it comes to discipline or talking to your child. It's like, hey, I've tried all this stuff, nothing worked. Yeah. Why wouldn't you give therapy a try?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you feel like you would have maybe changed things for you and your parents, or the way you guys interacted? Or have you ever yourself?
I did do therapy.
Okay.
I did therapy because I did something bad.
Okay.
Right? And my dad put me in therapy for a few months because he felt like I probably needed therapy.
Nice, okay.
At that moment, I don't even remember therapy, to be honest.
Oh, gotcha,
like, I remember going to the therapist. I remember getting dropped off at the therapist, but I don't remember if it opened me up or made me talk more or made me change my views. I don't remember it at all.
Yeah.
But as an adult, thinking about therapy now, I think my views for therapy changed because of me going to school.
Okay.
And understanding how important therapy is, how important it is to speak with somebody, how important it is for them emotions to be let out. I understand that people hold in their emotions super tight. Yeah. And sometimes it's just not that easy to talk to mom or dad to let those emotions out.
1,000%.
You know, and you just sit there and just hold in all those emotions until they crack. Yeah. Right? And sometimes those emotions, and let's take it back to the kids. Yeah. When kids deal with emotions that they're just bundling in, then we have a situation where they finally crack and they do something that is unbeknownst to anyone that you ever thought that is something unimaginable that your kid did, and you're like,
I didn't know they were capable of that.
I didn't even know my kid was capable of doing that, right? And I feel like some of that comes from all those emotions that they have built in. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he was saying that when his wife gets drunk, that he don't really like dealing with her. Gotcha. Right? And he said she gets angry. He don't like dealing with her because she gets so angry. Yeah. And he was like, damn, he's like, well, where do you think the anger comes from? He's like, you know what? Any Monday through Friday, my wife is a really sweet person. She's really nice. If she gets into it with her supervisor or a coworker or someone cuts her off in the street, she doesn't show any emotion of anger. She never shows emotion of anger. Okay. Right? She tucks it in and that's that. But when she drinks, he thinks that she represses her anger so well. When she drinks, she has the inability to do the repressing. So
it just all comes out.
So her natural self, how she really feels at that moment, somebody cuts her off and they be like, she want to say, oh, you mother... Yeah. She doesn't say it, but she says it then when she's drunk.
Wow, yeah.
Right? So just think about all those emotions that could be let out if you're talking to a therapist.
It's true.
Right? So I do believe therapy in our community should be addressed, or we should visit it a lot more than we do. Yeah. For sure.
Listen, so parenting's hard. There's no blueprint for parenting. I tell people all the time, it's the only real full-time job. If you love your child and you're invested in trying to do what's right by them, like even when you're take a day off, say you go on a vacation, the kid's at home, or you're at work for 8 hours at a time, or they're spending the night at someone's house, as a parent, you're so constantly kind of thinking about them. It's a only real full-time job. Why not looking to like acquire tools or things that can help benefit or maximize your parenting ability, right? Our jobs, I feel like, is to pour as much love as possible into our child so we can build them up and make the best possible human being that they can be.
Yeah.
I don't know if spankings is the vehicle to do that. But I'm still, even with all like the knowledge that we have now and my experience with childhood, I'm not 100% against it though either. I feel there are moments where like it's justified. Yeah. And I don't know if that's a caveman or prehistoric type thinking.
Yeah.
But
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah, that's just my thoughts on that.
My thoughts might change because I don't have any biological children myself.
Yeah.
So my thoughts may change, but they may not. And that's one thing that scares me about having my own kids is that I feel like
it could change. Yeah.
It could change.
I'm asking you just one question before we get out of here. Dads disciplining daughters and whooping and spanking daughters. Your thoughts? You said your dad had never hit you. Do you feel like there was a reason behind that? Did you ever talk to him about that?
I think my dad is a real man. He's a man. He's a manly man.
Yeah.
He has his moments where he could be a little metrosexual type.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, he was always that type of guy that just did not believe in hitting his daughter.
Right.
And I still don't. He has a son now too, and I if the roles change and my dad was able to take care of his son the way he probably would want to, I don't think he would whoop my brother either. Yeah. It's just not in him to do those things.
Yeah.
I just think most guys, that's just like hitting a woman. Like, it's just not right. It's a line that you just don't cross. It's just a line. I don't know.
Yeah. I only ask that because I'm a girl dad, and it's one of those things where I look at her and I'm just like, I don't think I'm ever gonna. I can't.
I think a conversation is good.
Yeah.
I think from dads, I think that good.
That look,
that voice, and that conversation. I think that's enough for you to get in line. I think because it's just a different type of understanding.
Yeah, yeah.
But moms go up on daughters' heads so tough. I don't know what it is with moms and daughter relationships.
I think a dad will go up on the son's head quick too.
And I think a dad will go up on the son's head too.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, no, I don't think it's cool for dads to hit on their baby girls. It's no logical reason why they would need to. Yeah,
it's a touchy subject, and I think it does open that door for abuse from other men, and so you got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that wraps this up. Again, it'd be nice to hear from people and get their thoughts on
Absolutely.
Spankings, yes or no. Is there any benefits when you think about your childhood and you look back on it? Mm-hmm. For those who were spanked and those who weren't, what were your takeaways?
Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah. But subscribe, share, give us some feedback, please. We'd love to have it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Always a pleasure.
Wrapped up another one in the books. Just Two Scorpios.